What do you say, everybody? Welcome to Bama Insider and Monday Night Quarterback. Talking Alabama football on YouTube with Trey Yanity. I'm Mick, Gillespie, Chris Daughtry helping us out as well. Like and subscribe as you hang out with us here today. We talk about the Crimson Tide. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the. We got a lot going on as far as where Alabama is moving with the spring practices underway. We're getting closer and closer to the 8A game. That's the Saturday before Easter, and we appreciate you being here. Before I introduce my partner, Trey Yanity, and guys, I am Mick Gillespie, let me tell you that our show is brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums, 200 steps from Bryant-Denny Stadium, right there next to where all those championships are won. You're right near the Walk of Champions. You're near downtown Tuscaloosa if you want to go there. You're near the Strip. You're near the Quad. Everything you want is there, and these are amazing units, 1 to 5 bedroom units that go from 900 to 3,000 square feet. They've got the oversized balconies that look at the stadium or downtown, depending on where you're at, and they've got the Wolf and the Sub-Zero kitchens that are amazing. It really is luxury, and you guys know as well that Trey, Chris, and I spend game days there. That's where we do the post-game show, so we're up on the roof. The Skygate Club is a fantastic spot. So when you're part of that, the condos, you get to be on the roof. That's where we do our tailgating, and it is a great time. But Trey, what's going on, dude? And I just want you to know I'm at Orange Tree Resort here in Scottsdale. So that's why I'm kind of got a different look today.
Yeah, you got me looking forward to summer, man. It looks beautiful there. Some great desert vibes. I hope it's going well out west. It looks like it is. And, great broadcast, this past weekend. I know you got another one coming up, so good luck with all of that. But, I'm doing well. And I have to apologize to anybody that I've, been delayed in responding to a text, a phone call, anything these last few weeks, because I've been an absolute couch potato. I've said it time and time again on this show, but this time of the year is my favorite time of the year for sports. I mean, there's just so much going on. Been so fun to follow the NCAA tournament, of course. We even had some sparks flying at the Oscars last night. So a lot going on right now, but a lot going on with Alabama as well. We're into spring practice now. We got Pro Day coming up, 8A just around the corner. So let's talk about tonight. But Mick, how you doing? It's looking great out there.
Look, doing the Cubs games was fun this weekend. It was great. Was on the call in Chicago radio Saturday and Sunday. Have another game on Wednesday. So a little taste of spring training. You can see, look, I've got my summer shirt on, and when we're finished here, maybe go take a dip in the pool. I got a couple of days to recharge my batteries out here. So doing good, and also paying attention to Alabama and what the Crimson Tide are doing. And that's what I wanted to ask you first today is what have you seen so far spring camp? Give me those guys. I know that Nick Saban has talked a lot about the transfer, Gibbs from Georgia Tech, the running back. He's been asked about these guys and their impact on the team. But also, how about some other players that are making maybe their first, they're making their impact felt for the first time for the Crimson Tide? Give us a breakdown of what's happened so far in camp.
Yeah, Alabama has always been known for great defense, great protection on defense, and they're also very great at protecting the video of practice. Right now, we're not allowed to go. We only get practice video 1 day a week, so we're limited to the footage that we can see. But, from what we've seen, not just in the footage, from highlights and obviously the interviews with Nick Saban and everything else too, it sounds like these young guys are really making an impact. We're seeing a lot of Traquan Fegans. We're seeing Tyler Booker, Jaheim Otis. Some of these youngsters, I think, get plugged in right away, and not just them, but the transfers as well. And we knew these questions were going to come up early on for Nick Saban in the spring about Jahmyr Gibbs, about Jermaine Burton, Eli Ricks. And from what we can understand, they're doing great so far in spring practice. Seen some great highlights. Jermaine Burton, for the most part, a little bit of Jahmyr Gibbs. You can only see so much in those running back drills early on in practice. But we've seen some routes from Jermaine Burton, Bryce to Jermaine, even Jalen Milroe to Jermaine Burton. So love what we're seeing there. For Eli Ricks, I think it's also going to be an immediate impact kind of player, along with Jahmyr Gibbs as well. So love what we got in the youngsters. Love what we have in some of these transfers as well, of course. But it's about, who is going to be able to make an impact immediately, because the spring is great. And we're going to be able to see some of these guys, I think, really kind of make a name for themselves, on A-Day. But in the fall, once we get there, who are the guys that are even going to get a chance? We talk about it, and we talked about it last week when we had our, our 5-person panel there with Andrew Bone. There's not too many positions where some of these guys can get plugged in right away. And I think, maybe a guy like Tyler Booker even could be a starter immediately, or maybe 2-3 weeks in. I think at outside linebacker, guy like Jeremiah Alexander is not going to be able to play this year necessarily, but it's going to be a huge growth year for him. Love what we've seen in the highlights there as well. We got Jermaine Burton on the screen right there. This team is young still, but they do bring back so much quality experience. And I think some of these guys that we're talking about now, we're starting to get to see are really going to be able to plug in and make an impact. You never know. It's not always going to be a perfect fit. Alabama has been blessed with guys like Jamison Williams to come in and make that immediate impact. You hope Jermaine Burton is that. You hope guys like even the youngsters, Tyler Booker, or even some of these receivers, Kendrick Law, Shaz Preston, could maybe step in and give you quality reps. But overall, you just love what Alabama's done. And who knows? Maybe another transfer is on the market for Alabama.
Yeah, you mentioned that Steen, who is the offensive lineman that's transferring from Vanderbilt, visited Tuscaloosa. Andrew Bone will have a report on that tomorrow on his show, which you can also watch right here as we talk Alabama football on YouTube. Guys, like and subscribe, hit the thumbs up as you hang out with us, and we appreciate you being here. Hit the bell as well. He's Trey Yanity, and I'm Mick Gillespie. This is Monday Night Quarterback, brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominium. All right, so what about some of these freshmen that we've never seen before? Who is impressing, do you think, in this camp, and maybe forcing Nick Saban to say, hey, Dallas Turner, a year ago, you're getting in, right? Maybe not opening game, but eventually, and could make an impact on this roster.
Yeah, Tyler Booker, I'm going to keep going back to, and I think we're going to really see in A-Day what he can do, because he's going to get some first-team reps and everything else. So I think Tyler Booker's got to watch skill position-wise. That guy right there, Kendrick Law, I think, he's got that build that you don't see as often nowadays. I love wide receivers that wear numbers in the 80s because they're going to be monsters. Maybe not your speedsters, maybe not your Devontae Smiths or even your Jalen Waddles, Henry Ruggs. But, Kendrick Law is the kind of guy that is going to be your big body receiver. And this is his freshman campaign, so maybe he doesn't get to make that impact right away, but he's only going to get bigger, stronger. Reminds me a lot of Ajay Hall, a guy that we haven't got to see play, too much quite yet. I know there's some controversial feelings maybe there on Hall, but love Kendrick Law. We got to see Kobe Prentice in person. I don't want to speak on some of these guys I haven't got to see play, but Chris and I got to see Kobe play back in the fall, and I loved what we saw there as well. Kind of a 4-tool wide receivers. So love what we got in these young wide receivers. Traquan Fegans, maybe another guy that could contribute right away. I think there's going to be some spots open on that side of the football. But, when we talk about some of these guys on the offensive side, I just don't see really any of them getting the chance to make an impact. Maybe a guy like Amari Niblack at tight end could be a guy that gets immediate playing time because it's just a different look than Cameron Latu. But probably Tyler Booker, Amari Niblack, and a guy like Kendrick Law could get these reps and could really take advantage of them.
Spring football is also a chance for Nick Saban to kind of lay out what Alabama football means. And we found this clip, and I'm going to get Chris to pull it up on the screen just so that you can kind of take a look at it, because I want to get your thoughts on just what Nick Saban's trying to tell the players, as we move on here and get ready for this A-Day game.
We really haven't added a whole lot of other guys, to that group. But it's not just how many leaders and who they are. It's how do the other players respond to leadership. You can have really good leaders on your team, but if players don't respond to it because they don't respect the importance of doing things right, then that's an issue too. And so far, this group has responded, fairly well for the most part.
I like what he's saying there, and maybe that has been an issue for Alabama football in years past. I don't think it was an issue last season, but when you look at this roster, Trey, I would think that there's going to be a lot of leadership with Bryce Young now having another year under his belt and a Heisman Trophy. Will Anderson coming back on defense. He was a great leader already, and he's going to have another year to move on. But it feels like Nick Saban's kind of telling the young players, you need to listen to the leadership.
Yeah, this leadership group is really cool. And congratulations to DJ Dale for getting, moved on to this leadership group this offseason. But the thing about this leadership group, you don't always see the best players on the team, the quarterback or, the main edge rusher, be the guys that have to be in the leadership group, wear the captain's patch. In this case, that's most certainly, going to be the deal this year. And I think that Bryce Young, just the way he carries himself, kind of represents a different style of leadership, maybe than a guy like Will Anderson that's going to be a little bit more in your face, and then a guy like DJ Dale that's kind of just that rock there in the middle. I love, what this leadership group's going to be able to do. I don't think it's going to be a problem at any point. And, with Alabama, I don't think it's really ever a problem. You're getting such a high profile player, but you're also getting a very high character player at the same time. And these guys understand that, they have to be very disciplined if they want their chance to play here. So I don't think, there's ever necessarily a leadership problem like we might see on the basketball court at times. But, to have guys that, are going to dominate in the field and then come in the locker room and give you that blow away speech is a really good feeling for this team. I think we've said it from the time that the final quarter ended in Indianapolis. The sky is the absolute limit for this group. And of course, you're going to say that after losing the national title, when you bring back the Heisman winner and you bring back Will Anderson and you are Alabama. But looking at the makeup of this group, even referencing some of what we talked about earlier, the transfers and some of these other guys that we haven't even seen play for Alabama yet. I think it's a really cool makeup. And, having guys like Bryce Young and Will Anderson be the leaders is only going to take them that extra mile.
Guys, like and subscribe as we talk Alabama football on YouTube. He's Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillespie. And we're talking about spring practice. Alabama moving towards the 8A game. They split it. Now they're kind of back in full swing. We're seeing some of the young players, Nick Saban making comments. What do you expect to see from spring practice moving forward? What's the schedule look like for Alabama as they get ready for that game Saturday, the 17th at the stadium?
Yeah, I hope we continue to see more of these young guys. And for guys like Will Anderson, it's only been much of the same from what we saw last year. You're seeing that same burst. He even kind of looks a little bit leaner, which I didn't even think was possible. But, you just hope that these guys continue to feel more comfortable, because that's what the spring's about. It's not about putting yourself in position to start or, putting yourself ahead of this guy, that guy. It's about getting used to this program. For the guys that are veterans, it's about making sure that you kind of take on that role. And if, you're a guy like DJ Dale that's new to the leadership team, how do you set yourself apart as a leader? The schedule is going to be pretty repetitive the rest of the time through. I think it's 4 or 5 practices a week. No practice today, unfortunately, but we will have practice highlights coming tomorrow on our YouTube page, as well as Nick Saban on Wednesday for Pro Day. But it's just going to be, I think, a typical spring for Alabama. 8A is going to be exciting again. I've said it a few times on here. I don't want to overread this game. I don't want to look at a certain performance and think, okay, this guy's next in line for Alabama just because of 8A. But, it's going to be fun to see which of these youngsters do get the chance to play a little bit more, which of them take advantage of that. And, for guys like a Jai Hall that have something to prove, have a chip on their shoulder, what can they do to prove that they've, gotten past some of those lulls from last season. So it's going to be a really fun spring. Looking forward to A-Day. Can't get here soon enough, because I think that's when we really start to feel like the season is right around the corner. But this is a great group. And another guy, Henry To'oTo'o, completely forgot about on that leadership team. He's another just really steady leader for this group, because he's a great communicator and he kind of brings that element to it as well. But it's a great time to be an Alabama football fan, pretty much as always.
Guys, like and subscribe as you hang out with us talking Alabama football on YouTube. Hit the bell. This is Monday Night Quarterback, brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominium. Find out more information at westgateal.com. Trey, all of a sudden now we have Nick Saban throwing the first pitch out at the baseball game, I believe on Tuesday, right? Did you see Lane Kiffin's first pitch? He threw a golf ball against Tennessee, right? He threw a golf ball as kind of, making fun of the golf ball that got thrown at him when Ole Miss played Tennessee. By the way, Ole Miss was number 1 in the country. Tennessee came in and just absolutely thumped them and swept them in the series, including the game that Lane Kiffin threw the golf ball. Do you expect Nick Saban to throw a golf ball or anything like that when he's at Sewell Thomas Stadium?
He's not quite the jokester that Lane Kiffin is. So credit to the head coach over there in Mississippi, and credit to Tennessee too. They are having an amazing season. It's going to be a scary team for Alabama coming up. They should have swept this weekend. We won't get on a baseball tangent here. The people can barely handle basketball, but I'm excited for this first pitch. I think this is another great opportunity for Nick Saban to get out there and show off his youth a little bit. I don't think he's going to be throwing any golf balls, hopefully, but I hope he has a pitch that's somewhere close to the zone at least. I don't want to see a 50 Cent type pitch. There was another I forgot somebody else. A celebrity went out, maybe Machine Gun Kelly or somebody, or it was Conor McGregor. That's exactly what it was this past season, and just a terrible pitch. So hopefully it's close to the zone. We're gonna have that video on Bama Insider too, so be sure to tune in for that. But yeah, I just love this kind of stuff when the sports can cross over. Not enough of that at Alabama.
Look, I'm very aware of Nick Saban's love for baseball. Do you have any idea who his favorite team is?
Man, he's from West Virginia, so this is a little bit innocent of me. I'm a huge Pirates fan. I'm gonna assume probably geographically he was closest to Pittsburgh. Maybe the Pirates? No, I think it's the Yankees. I saw him in the T-shirt on the boat and everything else. I want to be naive, but he's.
I've confirmed that with my buddy Jim Hendry, who used to be the GM of the Cubs. He's now with the Yankees. He works for Brian Cashman. That Nick Saban, I guess, pops up sometimes around Yankees camp when he has time, or has in the past, or somehow he's been around the Yankees, and he's a big Yankees baseball fan. So maybe he's going to look like Roger Clemens when he throws out the first pitch. Did you know that the Yankees actually played Alabama in a scrimmage game back in the 80s?
Really?
Because Bryant and George Steinbrenner were friends. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So there's a lot of Yankees fans in Tuscaloosa.
The connections.
Because of that. So Nick Saban's not the only Yankees fan in Tuscaloosa, although you and I both not Yankees fans. But he'll be there to throw out the first pitch, and I'm not expecting him to throw a golf ball. Give us a preview, Trey, of Alabama's Pro Day that's coming up on Wednesday.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, this is one of the first events that we're able to really go to in person, or that it makes sense to go to from a media standpoint. So it's going to be great to be back in person, kind of seeing all this stuff. And, I think what to look out for really is some of the guys that we talked about at the NFL Combine, some of the smaller names, the Slade Boldens of the world, even guys like LeBron Ray or Jalen Armour Davis. These guys didn't have great days at the Combine. Look at Jalen Armour Davis, bottom 5 in 40 times for his position. This is a real chance to improve on that. He's around his people. He's going to have his teammates there. And, guys like Jameson Williams, John Mechie, of course, can't participate, but at least they can be there in attendance, rooting these guys on. We saw it last year with Jalen Waddle. So, you just hope that this is a little bit more of a comfortable day for these guys rather than what they experienced at the Combine. Because I know that was just a weird experience. It was still a different kind of event. And, this has kind of been a better day, I think, historically for Alabama when you talk about draft stock and where guys really make their impact. And you see the Twitter videos. It's nowadays more so, I think, from these pro days. For the bigger names like Evan Neal, they didn't go to the NFL Combine. So you need to get something down on paper. I don't think, he's in a position where he's going to be costing too much one way or the other. I think he's almost locked into a top 3 pick. And, we'll kind of go from there. But definitely for these middle-of-the-pack guys, the Slade Boldens, the LeBron Rays, the JADs, even Josh Jobe, those kind of players, they need to have a good day. And I think that, these settings, it's just a little bit more comfortable. It allows them to have a better day than they might have had at the Combine.
We'll be covering all that right here as we talk Alabama football on YouTube. We'll have coverage from all of this stuff. Nick Saban's first pitch to Andrew Bone telling us if Steen is going to transfer from Vanderbilt to Alabama, and then the pro day that is coming up Wednesday. So, guys, like and subscribe, hit the thumbs up as you hang out with us here on YouTube and our show, Monday Night Quarterback, always brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominium. All right, Trey, this is the part of the show where we can talk about other sports, okay? And I got to tell you, the women's basketball program they're still alive, right? Or did they lose? They're in the NIT and they made a run, right?
They made a run. They got 2 wins. I know. I can't speak on if they're alive or not. Let me Google this real quick. You had to put me on the spot here, but I did see that they were winning games.
Let's talk baseball, and then we'll come back to it. Baseball and softball. Softball continues to roll.
Oh my goodness, yes. I mean, this softball team is, I think, the best in the country. They haven't been ranked there quite yet this season, but this team has unlimited potential. When you have the best pitcher in the country, and I think this is true for baseball at any level, I think, you have a severe advantage on any team around you, especially in softball when it's a little bit smaller and, it's coming in a little bit faster. You don't see a Montana Fouts around the country. This is a very unique situation for Alabama. It's a very deep lineup. It's a very experienced lineup. A lot of this team, took that blanket year to kind of come back with COVID. So, this team is still 50-50 girls that got to play in their junior year, and some girls that, kind of had to wait their turn. And you have some freshmen getting involved too. Name is slipping right now. The shortstop from Pennsylvania has come in and done an unbelievable job. And, you just look at the structure of this team. Patrick Murphy, we have not given him his due credit on our channel, on this show even. We don't get to talk about this program enough, but Patrick Murphy, maybe, and this is no discredit to anybody on campus, but, maybe the second best coach. Sometimes I think he has a running at Nick Saban, because this guy knows how to run a program. He's done it for 2+ decades now, and, continues to pump out great team after great team. So another team where I think the sky's the absolute limit. You put them right there with football. This team is a perennial powerhouse, and it's great to see the start they're off to.
Yeah, they continue to roll, and I do apologize. South Dakota State beat Alabama in the quarterfinals of the women's NIT. So Alabama season over, 78-73 they lost. But, made a run. Men's basketball, obviously a disappointing season. I read a story where Miami said the loss to Alabama is what turned their year around, right? And you just look at Alabama's Jekyll and Hyde basketball season, and we've talked about it ad nauseum on here, but they beat some really good teams. And then you look at the Final Four: Duke and North Carolina, Villanova and Kansas, the teams that you expect to be there. How did your bracket survive, or has it survived yet? I will tell you, I've got Kansas on some of my brackets to win the championship, so I'm still alive, but I don't think I'm going to win any of them.
Yeah, well, what qualifies as surviving? Because if it's just based off the champion, I do have the champion alive. I picked Kansas to win my bracket, so they're still rolling. I've been rock chalk this whole tournament, so at least I have them. Rest of it is pretty shattered. I had a lot of stock in teams like UConn going to the Sweet 16. Some other leverage plays didn't work out this year, but we still have a hope with Kansas. But this tournament has just been so interesting. Some of the stories, and I think it's a true testament to the way that basketball works, and the fact that the Final Four, while it might have some Cinderellas or the hope of it, this case in St. Peter's, it's always going to be the most elite teams in the country, or some form of that. You're going to see 1 seed, you're going to see 2 seeds. This year, I don't think we got maybe the best teams in the country. You have an 8 seed in there. North Carolina turned out to be a really fun story too. And the hype for this Duke North Carolina game is going to be unlike anything we've seen for college basketball. But this is the kind of year that I think we look back on, and we just kind of laugh at it because it was so chaotic, not just the regular season, but in the tournament. St. Peter's beating Kentucky and Purdue. You got teams like Miami who, when they played Alabama, looked really bad. Alabama won that game by 30 points. Within a week, they beat the Duke Blue Devils, another team in the Final Four. So just some crazy stories. You're always going to have that with March. And this is something that, I think people want to circle back to and say, well, hey, you had this pick, whatever. I think sometimes it's kind of fun to not have the right picks, because that's part of the madness. There's always going to be upsets. And, Chris, our producer, can tell you, I get as bent up as anybody when you don't have a game right. But, you just kind of have to appreciate the stories like St. Peter's, and, appreciate some of these runs, because, St. Peter's plays in a 3,000 seat arena. Their campus is one street. They weren't anybody before this thing. Now they're verified on Twitter. Who knows what renovations are coming? The city of Jersey City putting their logo in it's been a whole Cinderella story for not just that program, but for the school. And I love it. Bust my bracket St. Peter's, but it was a really fun run.
It was fun. Yeah, it's been fun, and we'll have the championship matchup coming up, and all of that next weekend. So that'll be fun, as well, as we've got it down to the Final Four. And we get the rematch for Mike Krzyzewski after ruined North Carolina is going away party. It's another chance. I just can't see North Carolina beating Duke again. I think Duke's going to be very motivated. All right, Trey, anything else before we wrap it up today?
Guys, just enjoy the spring. I mean, it finally feels warm. Hopefully no more tornadoes in the forecast anytime soon. Hopefully this warm weather is here to stay, but get out and enjoy it. We touched on softball, baseball. Go support those teams. They're in full session right now. Baseball has some struggles this weekend in Mississippi State, but they looked pretty good. And, I think they're going to have a great rest of the SEC. So just get out and enjoy everything. And, for the spring football, stay tuned in, because it's really in the thick of it now. We do have Pro Day this week. We got all kinds of coverage coming from that. And, not just that, but practice, the press conferences, everything else. We're here for you guys. So please tune in. And, thanks for being here tonight as always.
Hey, look, I'm going to give you a quick spin around. I already showed Chris and Trey. If you stuck around for the entire show, I just want to show you the setup here. You guys ready? That's this is the golf course that we're staying at for spring training. Orange Tree Resort in Scottsdale, North Scottsdale. So, as you can tell, palm trees and birds and people playing golf. And then there's me again. Hey, I also want to remind all of you guys of this. Our show is brought to you by the great people at West Country Condominiums. They're spot on the roof. That's where we are on game days for our post-game show. And Jillian and the crew over there treat us so very well. WestgateAL.com for information on this wonderful facility that is so luxurious, right next to Bryant-Denny Stadium, 200 feet from Bryant-Denny Stadium, got great parking. That's always a must, even on game day. The rooms are great, the oversized balconies, as you see there. You got the keyless entry. You just, pop your arm up there to the thing. The Skygate Club's fantastic. The kitchens are awesome. You got 1 to 5 bedroom units that go from 900 to 3,000 square feet. The kitchens are as nice as they come, with Wolf and Sub-Zero appliances in there. And then the Skygate Club, as you see, is just fantastic. I mean, that's where we go to watch the second half of a lot of Alabama home games, because we're getting ready for the show to start, and it's just awesome. So check it out as well. Maybe you want rental property, or maybe you just want somewhere to stay when you're in Tuscaloosa. It's a great investment. Again, WestgateAL.com. You won't be disappointed. I could sit here and Trey and just keep looking at fantastic those.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. Look, that does it for the show. Thanks to Chris Daughtry. For Trey Yanity, I'm Mick Gillespie. Thanks for hanging out with us again. This is Monday Night Quarterback. Like and subscribe. We've got Andrew Bone coming on tomorrow night. He's going to update everyone on the transfer of Steen, who was in town to visit Tuscaloosa and is going to make a decision this week. Other recruiting news as well. Trey and Chris will be covering anything Nick Saban. Kyle Henderson will be part of what we're doing as well. And we'll have updates from Pro Day and from spring football all week long. So make sure that you're here to catch all of that. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I'm Mick Gillespie. So long, everybody.